Welcome to Bindery Library Lessons. In this video, we'll be folding signatures. You'll need your printed pages and your bone folder from your kit, and the signature page counts on the last page of your assembly instructions. We won't need the pretty end papers that come on top of the printed pages, so we'll just put those aside and we'll get started. So what is a signature? A signature is a group of sheets that we fold over each other to make the pages of our book. So most of our pages are 5 sheets with 2 pages printed on the front and back. So for every sheet, you get 4 book pages, and 50 sheets equals 20 pages, and so on. So this is one signature here. If you're working with a Bindery Library kit, your pages will start off looking like they're out of order. 4, 5, 2, 7, etc. But that's not to worry. Once they're all folded, then the numbers will flow properly. That is called imposition. If you're not using a Bindery Library kit, I'm assuming you've imposed your pages already or are making a blank journal. I will include a link to a free imposition tool in the description. So we're going to look up in the table on the last page of the instructions, including in the kit, the title of the book. So this is Romeo and Juliet. And so we are going to be making 8 signatures, and it looks like the first 4 are 5 signatures, or 5 sheets each, and the last 4 are 4 sheets each. So if your title has a total number of pages that's a multiple of 20, lucky you, all your signatures will be 5 pages. If not, we have to math it up with a few 4-page signatures. So let's find the front and the back of this stack of sheets. It doesn't matter if you go from the front or the back, but for me, working from back to front helps me to kind of make sure that my pages are flowing in order. And the way you tell that is just the higher number is going to be the back, the lower number, even if it's not page 1, is going to be the front. So here's my back. Before we get started, there are 2 things to remember. First is that your innermost pages will always have 2 sequential page numbers. So, for example, this is 130 and 131. And so those 2 pages will fold in to kiss each other like this. Mwah. And when you do that, that is what's going to make the pages flow 123, 124, 125, etc. So you can easily check if you have an extra or a missing sheet even before you fold. And that's going to be the way that we're going to do that for every signature we do. We'll just make sure that our 2 pages are flowing sequentially, kiss them together, and that's our signature. Enough talking. Let's get folding. So you're going to count out your 4 or your 5 sheets, depending on what the instructions say. You're going to square them up and align the short edges here. And then we will use our bone folder to flatten the crease. Now, if you want to savor the process, you can actually fold each page individually. No judgment there. I like to save time and fold all the pages together. Now, because the outer sheet of the signature has to wrap around the inner sheets, it has longer to go. So it's going to be just a little bit shorter than the sheets on the inside. So it's going to kind of make a little bit of a V pattern. I don't know if you can see that there. And that's normal. So some bookbinders will trim this to make sure that they're all, an even length, and that'll make a nice smooth foredge, which can be painted or gilded with gold, or it just, can make the book easier to thumb through with your thumb as you're reading. I like to leave the signatures raw, and that just kind of really shows off that hand-bound texture. So we'll grab our next signature, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm working back to front, which is why there. It's not going to be this way. This is 122, 107, but it's 114, 115. There we go. And I always remind people to enjoy this process. You know, if you are hurrying so that you can get to the next step, or you just, you know, want to have that finished book at the end result, and you're rushing to get there, you're missing out on really what makes this hobby so special. You can really pay attention to your senses as you do each step, and you can feel the weight and the texture of the paper, you know, the resistance that it has here. Feel it kind of give when you make that nice fold. Listen to the sound it makes of that, you know, running over the paper there. And you can even see, you know, kind of when you look closely, how the fibers are reacting and folding there. So these kit pages are printed on short grain paper, and that means that you are folding with the grain instead of against it. And that means that the pages are less likely to wear and rip through constant opening. And it also reduces what they call the swell. That's where it's fatter at the fold here. And so if you're swelling there and thin there, you're going to have a lopsided book. But with the short grain paper, that reduces that, and frankly just makes it that much more satisfying and easy to fold. I actually have a signature from some printer paper that is long grain, and I'll show you the difference. We got a nice smooth crease there, versus one of my printer paper creases. You can see the damage that that has done folding against the grain there. You can't really see. So we're going to stack each signature in order. And with each signature, you can do a quick check to make sure that the last page of the signature is going to flow onto the next page of the signature that follows. That just makes sure that everything is going to read properly once you're all done. Once you've got a good stack, you can start smushing them under a heavy book. This will let the fibers of the book relax, which will keep the crease nice and flat on the next steps. My wife's anatomy book is great for this. And then once all of your signatures are folded, we'll go on to the next step, stabbing them.